It is 8:08 on your Tuesday. Good morning. Phil Pizza here till 10 o'clock. The Mark Hunter comes in. And as we said, it is Tuesday and it is time for Dr. Bob Olivieri. And welcome to the program, Dr. Bob. Good to have you once again.
Good morning, Phil. It's nice to be here.
And we're now in a series, a 9-part series about the secrets of why, or the hidden reasons why you're having trouble
9 hidden
losing
secrets
weight.
on how to lose weight.
All right.
Or why you can't lose weight.
So we've got through 2 of them already, and this is number 3.
Yeah,
so you're really excited about this particular topic.
I am. This is such an important topic in one of the hidden secrets why you can't lose weight, and it is the gut-fat loss connection. The gastrointestinal system is so incredibly vital to our overall health, and if you've ever listened to any of our past shows, we talk about it in great detail, and we're going to cover very similar topics that we've talked about before, like intestinal permeability and leaky gut and all those things. But we're gonna talk about a system on how you can actually evaluate it yourself by looking at some of your prior labs and a step-by-step sequence of things that you can do to actually make yourself better.
So you can look at your own labs.
You can, yeah.
Obviously, you need a professional to interpret them fully.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to give us some tips as to what to look for.
Well, I will tell you, if you take a look at some of these things as we get later on in the show, you can look at them yourself and you can look at the numbers. We're going to give you the numbers to look at. So It's kind of cool. So gastrointestinal dysfunction is rampant in America. As we know, we talk about a lot of different types of reasons why that happens, but it is still the most important system to fix in order to help chronic disease. No matter what that chronic disease is, you got to look to your GI system first because it's the least explored system that there is in the body. If you think about this, we're talking about almost 30 feet of small intestine, and when you spread it out all the way, if you spread it all the way out, it's about the size of a tennis court, and it's totally unexplored. When was the last time that you went to a doctor that any part of that system was ever looked at?
You can't see it with like a CAT scan or anything like that?
I mean, you can see outlines and shadows,
right,
but you're not actually seeing the physiology at all.
Not like with a scope, for
well,
example.
the scope only goes to the large intestine,
Yeah.
which is just, it's your large colon. It's not getting into your small intestine, which is where all the absorption is, all the absorption of nutrients, and it's where health occurs. And, unless you're looking at stool samples, and, that's not part as of now. And I do believe within the next 10 years, that's going to be part of your normal physical examination. When you send somebody out for blood work, I do believe in my heart, with the science that's out there right now, that you're going to go out and you're also going to get a stool sample. And you're going to send it into a lab, and they're going to look for all the things that we're going to talk about today.
All right.
So the most common dysfunctions of your gastrointestinal system are decrease in hydrochloric acid, and we're going to get into some details of this, which occurs in your stomach, decreased digestive enzymes that help you break down food particles, increased intestinal permeability, which has to do with the leaky gut, which is a topic we're going to talk about, inflammation that's occurring within your body, and the result of that is because of a leaky gut, food sensitivities, and we're going to talk about dysbiosis, which is basically an imbalance between good bacteria and bad bacteria. And one of the other hidden things are infections that they occur. So the gastrointestinal system, the good news is it turns over frequently. It replaces itself over a period of time. So the only thing you really have to do to really get it better is over a period of time, and it doesn't take forever. You're looking at probably maybe 6 months to be able to change your diet, feed the proper food in there, and then to support it with proper nutritional supplementation. And you can make that entire system get better. Unless there's like a hole eaten all the way through and surgical repair is necessary. But that is so rare, when you get ulcerative colitis and certain types of things. But that's so rare. You can do so many things there to be able to get yourself better. So what happens with this? If you want to improve your gut function over a period of time, it's going to take some work on your part, and this is not easy. So it's not a magical pill. You're not going to take a magical pill and all of a sudden you're all better and wow, this is great. But the first thing you want to do is to see if you have a problem. The best way to do it is to look at some of your symptoms. If you're going through and you have gas or bloating or bad breath, which is a big indicator for H. pylori in your stomach, which is an infection. Heartburn, if you're getting diarrhea, constipation, history of antibiotic use. If you have any of those, I'm telling you, you have a bad gastrointestinal system. And any of those symptoms on a regular basis is telling you that you have a bad GI system and you're setting yourself up for certain types of chronic diseases. And I don't care whether it's diabetes, whether it's a thyroid type of a problem, where you're getting heartburn, and a ton of IBS, Crohn's, celiacs. all of those particular things, all of those, thyroid is one of the things in there, all of those things are early signs of that. So if you ever come to a Feel Great Nate workshop, you will clearly see that because we lay it out to where anybody can truly understand that. But it's an extremely important thing. So you want to look at the symptoms. In a minute, what we're going to do is we're going to start to talk about lab tests, and we're going to talk about blood work and some of the other labs that we can actually do to help explore whether you have a gastrointestinal problem and why it can lead to excessive weight loss and you can't lose it on your own.
We're speaking with Dr. Bob Olivieri. It's part of a series of hidden secrets why you can't lose weight. And fascinating. We have Dr. Bob Olivieri. Dr. Bob joins us every Tuesday from Olivieri Chiropractic to talk about his Feel Great Nate campaign and also this special series on hidden secrets why you might not be losing weight. And Dr. Bob, we're now at week number 3 of this particular series.
Yes, we're talking about the gastrointestinal system and your fat loss connection. So what we're talking about is some of the lab work that you can actually get. Or actually just look at some of the stuff you already have, and there's some hidden secrets in your lab work that may or may not be explored by someone that's not looking for these particular conditions. Lots of times when you get lab work back, you're going to look and say, everything is within range, and you just kind of glance over it, especially as a physician. We look at things now from a functional medicine perspective, where we look at ranges that are not necessarily within normal limits, but also ideal. So when we talk about before blood glucose level, normal in a lab test is between 65 and 99. We want you to really be between 80 and 95. So we're going to look at it in a little different light. We're going to kind of like say, okay, I don't care if you're at 70 because that's not healthy because you're still hypoglycemic. So we want to make sure that it's ideal.
I think it depends on where the studies are too. I just saw a lab test where they said the normal range was between 70 and 110.
Right, that's the new one. Yeah, just over at the hospital, they just trained it. I'm telling you, if you're walking around at 110 blood glucose level, you are insulin resistant. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what. You got to remember, these lab ranges are based upon averages of people that get normal labs. These are not ideal ranges. This is just averages. So as our population becomes more unhealthy, those ranges are going to become larger and larger and larger. So yes, you're going to be average, but who wants to be average? I want to be healthy.
Right.
So if you're looking at your lab work, one of the 2 markers you want to look at is you want to look at protein and globulins. Basically, that ratio there is going to tell you how much hydrochloric acid that you really have in your stomach. When people are walking around with not enough hydrochloric acid, you are not breaking down the essential minerals and proteins that you need to do to be able to absorb them into amino acids that are very, very important for you for energy production. So when you have a decrease, you're going to get malabsorption and you're going to get maldigestion. So both of those need to be in a range. And when we're talking about the functional medicine range, not the averages on the report, we want you to be, for protein, somewhere between 6.9 and 7.4 grams per milliliter. For globulin, you want to be 2.4 to 2.8 grams per 100 liters. So what happens with that is when you're in those ranges and they're normal inside there, you're probably producing enough hydrochloric acid. Now what happens when you don't have enough hydrochloric acid? Well, you don't break down proteins. So what happens is, and if you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, there's not enough acid in your stomach to actually kill the bacteria that you ingest, because we ingest food, no matter how much we clean food, there's still bad things in there. If you're eating some raw fish, you're probably ingesting some parasites. So your hydrochloric acid, a high amount of hydrochloric acid, keeping your pH really low, is vital to your overall health. Breaking down very strong protein bonds, which are very, very strong, you need a high amount of acid inside there. So when you take something that lowers your acid, makes you less acidic in your stomach, so if you're taking some type of like Tums to do that, what you're actually doing is you're not allowing the food to be emptied from your intestine into your small intestine, because there's a little pH meter inside there that your brain's saying, we're not going to let this stuff that we know is not broken down into your intestines. So what happens? You get gas and bloating, so you get reflux. So what do? They try to lower your acid by giving you like Tums, or you take Tums. That doesn't make any sense physiologically. You want to increase the amount of hydrochloric acid in your stomach to allow your body to do what it needs to do. So where the pH meter by your small intestine, that valve there says, you know something, things are okay, everything's dead, let's move it on. And now we can start to absorb the things we need to absorb. So extremely important to look at those markers right in there. So what it's going to do, those enzymes are going to allow you to break down the foods and to sterilize the food that you need to do. So you need hydrochloric acid. And look at those 2 markers we just talked about. Number 2 on the report, look at eosinophils. Eosinophils are white blood cells. When those white blood cells are increased, you want to look for a possibility of a parasitic infection. You might have a parasite if your eosinophils are. Now granted, it's also a marker, and it's a great marker for seasonal allergies. So you might also be suffering from that. But you want to do that. So if I have a patient that comes in with high eosinophils, first thing I'm doing is I'm running a stool test on them. I want to make sure that they do not have any type of parasite in there, because you have to kill that, or those things hang out in your intestines for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. The last one we're going to talk about is stool testing. So we have a stool test in there that is a genetic test. So we're looking at things that have been hanging out in your intestines for a while. Remember, it's a really, really long tube in there, so things can hang out. Bad things can hang out. So we're looking for bacteria, parasites, viruses, H. pylori, which is a big cause when you start to get ulcers in your stomach, and also for reflux. You want to look at your normal flora. We want to look for bacterial overgrowth, things like candidas and things like that that are hanging out in there. And that's very common. Fungus and yeast infections, which is candidas. We want to look for viruses, protozoa, and worms. We also want to look for good digestive markers. We use a test in here called GI Maps from Diagnostic Solutions. That's part of our Feel Great Nate program. It's huge. It drives us in a way to be able to really look at that area that is totally unexplored for your health. So if you're suffering from some chronic illness and chronic disease, and everybody's looked for all these different things, how about looking at some tests that maybe somebody else hasn't looked for? So this particular stool test is magnificent. It's really changed the way we practice in our office. It's because this is not just an O&P. We don't just put it underneath a microscope and look for parasites and ovum. This is a genetic marker test. So you get a chance to really see this and what's been going on for the last few months. It's powerful, amazing, and we find incredible things. I just found my first parasite this week.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
and a bad one too. A lady that has cats and dogs. Mm-hmm. Her dogs, I don't want to get into this, but it's transferred from
animals.
Animals.
Wow.
Yep. So and so we have to eradicate. Actually, I'm going to send her out to her family doctor to be able to get that eradicated. So she's going to need some pretty potent antibiotic to get that killed.
All part of the Feel Great Day campaign, and also hidden reasons why you might not be losing weight. We're in part number 3 of this 9-part series. Dr. Bob Olivieri, his office is located.
Good morning, and my music all day, 98.7 The Coast, WCZ.
We're here with Dr. Bob Olivieri, as we always are on a Tuesday, and Dr. Bob's wearing a smart blue T-shirt with a nice insignia on there. What is this all about?
Yeah, these are our neat new T-shirts for Feel Great Nate. So I love them. They're really cool. All it is our insignia, our logo in the front, and in the back it says.
In the back as he turns around, hashtag I feel great. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, cool, right? Yeah, I love the color. They're blue, and so we decided to change it up a little bit. And since it's a new program, we decided to kind of, just change a bunch of things. So we have a bunch of new little items floating around in the office, and our T-shirts were our first modification. Yeah, I love them.
And we're talking about, ways, hidden secrets why you can't lose weight. And this week's show is talking about your GI tract.
Right, your gastrointestinal system. It's a huge why you can't lose weight. So, the next topic we're going to talk about, we just got done talking about the lab tests you can do on blood work and some of the stool testing that you can look at. And also the next one is intestinal permeability. So quite often, if you ever listen to the show, we talk an awful lot about a condition called intestinal permeability, or the slang term is called leaky gut.
Right.
And what happens with a leaky gut is in your small intestines, you have cells that are connected by these little bonds. These bonds are zonulin and occludin bonds, and they hold them very, very tight. They're tight junctions inside there. So the absorption of nutrients that your body needs are very, very simple. It just needs to be absorbing from the blood system small molecules, glucose from our sugars and carbohydrates that we ingest. Okay, you're going to absorb in your small intestine amino acids from the proteins that we digest. And remember, the hydrochloric acid is going to break those proteins all the way down into very small particles, which are amino acids, which are absorbed in the small intestines, and lipids that we ingest from fats, hopefully healthy fats, that will be absorbed into the small intestine. So they're the only things that are really designed to absorb through the small intestine into your blood system. And once it gets into the blood system, they're transported to all the cells, so then we can go and develop energy, in those cells. And there's a whole process that takes place in the cells. So that's what's designed to go into our blood system, and that's pretty much it from the foods that we're ingesting. You know, some enzymes and some things, but that's about it. The problem is when we ingest things that we should not be ingesting, such as all the things we just got done talking about, some really bad certain types of foods that we eat, some toxins that we ingest, some of the parasites and all those things that we just got done talking about. Sometimes they will break down the bonds in between the cells, and they allow larger food particles into our blood system. When the body identifies anything that is not those three things that we talked about, what happens is your immune system kicks into play, and they tag that as what we call an antigen. It's a foreign substance that's in an area in your blood system that doesn't belong. So your immune system goes haywire.
Is it a particle or something smaller than a particle?
What?
Well, you're saying these particles that get through that aren't supposed to get through.
Sure, it can be any. It can be any of those viruses. It can be any of the. It can be a larger particle of food that hasn't been broken down.
Okay.
It can be things that they can't identify as what it's supposed to be, because the body already knows what's supposed to be there.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, your immune system will start to attack it. It doesn't know what it is, so it has to go over and tag it. So the very first thing is called the Th1 system, which we're going to talk about in a lot of detail in one of the upcoming shows. But Th1 is just a bunch of cells go there to try to eat it up. Okay. If it can't, they're going to tag it, and it's going to go to the Th2 system, where it's going to develop an antibody-antigen reaction there, to where it's going to say, okay, the next time this comes and we see it, we're going to really, really try to bring it up. And it goes into this Th7, a whole big cascade that we'll talk about later on. So what happens is your immune system is constantly working when it shouldn't be working. That's fine for a short period of time, but when you have a leaky gut, this is an ongoing flow of different things in an area that doesn't belong. So your immune system's constantly working. So now it starts to tag everything that's around there. And over a period of time, what can happen is it starts to tag normal tissue. That's what an autoimmune disease is. So if you're suffering from Hashimoto's thyroiditis, you don't really necessarily have a thyroid problem. You have an autoimmune problem that chose to attack your thyroid. It's important to know that, because MS is an autoimmune problem. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune problem. So all of these, you have to look to the gut if you're suffering from an autoimmune problem. This has tremendous ramifications in your health. Can you see why, Phil, why you got to really pay attention to your gastrointestinal health?
Yeah.
Sure. Fat is a big thing that'll come about, and that's telling you your physiology is breaking down. But you must look at those things. So anytime that there's a larger particle perceived as this antigen in there, your immune system's going on. We have testing to be able to see is this leaky gut occurring? Cyrex labs are one of the very best labs that are out there. It's going to tell you whether you have a leaky gut, whether there's a breakdown in the zonulin-inclutin bonds. It's going to tell you whether there is a systemic inflammatory response that's going on there. It gives you a tremendous amount of information. So Cyrex labs has been vital in the management of a lot of the cases that we treat in the office. So if you can't find out exactly what's going on, you have to look towards leaky gut. And it's been tremendous in trying, and there's processes that we have to actually mend those bonds. You can actually do that. And it's tremendous as far as trying to help somebody lose weight, but also cure, well, not necessarily, I'm not supposed to use the word cure, help somebody with chronic disease.
But the point is, the loss of weight is kind of like a byproduct of getting these other things fixed.
It is. If you're heavy, it's telling you your entire metabolism is wrong. And it can be in any of these systems that we're talking about. And with the gastrointestinal system, we're starting from the food that goes through your mouth, into your stomach, into the small intestine, out your large intestine, and all the organs that, the liver, the gallbladder, and everything that contributes to that, and the filtration through your liver. All of this is extremely important. So yes, you got to make sure that all that entire system's working, for your immune system to be working and for digestion to work. And fat is just a response. If you're overweight, it's your whole physiology is bad. So if you can say, oh, my blood work looks good, and you're 30 pounds overweight, I'm telling you, you're not healthy. You're not. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. You got something wrong going on with your physiology. You got to look at it, explore it.
Fascinating stuff with Dr. Bob Olivieri, part of the Feel Great 8 camp.
Thank you for having a great show, everyone.
Oh, that's why we love you. Thanks.
We're here with Dr. Bob Olivieri, as we are every Tuesday, and we're talking about hidden secrets why you can't lose weight. Now, there is a website Dr. Bob wants to tell you about. It's 9, the number 9, hiddenweightlasssecrets.com.
Yes, so what we're doing is for the next 9 weeks, we're talking about the hidden secrets why you can't lose weight. And what we've done is we've recorded all these shows. So if you go on to 9 hidden secrets, 9 hiddenweightlasssecrets.com.
Right.
Write that down, okay? Because I don't always get that right. 9 hiddenweightlasssecrets.com. Yes. You're going to get these all these recordings. So sometimes people will ask me, actually I get it a lot, is there any way that we can actually get a copy of these recordings because we can't listen on those particular days?
Right.
Once you sign up, you're going to get each and every one of these recordings sent to you, whether you listen or not. Mm-hmm. So, and they're short 20-minute, sessions here, and so hopefully you'll learn a lot. Each one of these topics are topics that we use in our Feel Great Nate program. So you're going to understand, hopefully by the time you get done this, that weight loss is a symptom. And when you have if you're heavy, there's other systems involved. We talked about cortisol levels before. We talked about your insulin levels, your blood sugar levels. We're talking about your GI systems, and there's many other topics that we're going to talk to you about. So if you are interested in this topic, I urge you to go to 9 hiddenweightlasssecrets.com because you're going to get all of this information combined.
I got a quick question for you, Dr. Bob. You said earlier that every 6 months or in 6 months your system can repair itself. That sounds very encouraging to me.
Well, what happens is it's not going to happen unless you put out the fire, okay. Right? If your house is on fire and it's burning down, right. Okay, you have to stop that. You have to put it out. So these topics that we're talking about are some of the secrets that we're going to show you how to stop that. So if you're declining, if your health is declining and you're not changing certain habits, now you have to change the food. You have to add supplements. If you don't change that, the house is still going to burn down.
You got to do something different.
You do. Yeah. You have to. So it's just not going to automatically repair itself and you're going to be all better. It's a kumbaya situation. It doesn't work like that. Right. You have to actively do an intervention. And I'm telling you, these topics, I promise you, in 5 years from now, if you go back and you listen to this, you're going to go, wow, Dr. Bob was talking about this 5 years ago. And this is way ahead of its time. It really is. I'm telling you, when your doctor starts to give you a stool sample as part of your normal physical exam, mm-hmm. Hopefully you're going to remember, I remember him saying this 5 years ago, mm-hmm. Because it is the new movement in healthcare. It really is. Your health is coming from your gut. And that's what we're talking about today. So one of the topics, so we had already talked about the lab tests that you can look at, some of the markers you'll see in your blood work, stool samples, intestinal permeability that you can look at. The last topic here is food allergies and sensitivities. And you want to look at that because one of the most common contributors to the gastrointestinal dysfunction is because that you have certain types of food sensitivities or allergies. So the first way you can actually do this is an elimination diet. So what you want to do for about 6 to 8 weeks is you want to get rid of gluten. You want to get rid of foods that we've proven in the past can cause inflammatory disorders and some dysfunction. Mm-hmm. So gluten is one, which are wheat products. Any type of wheat product whatsoever. Right. Any type of bread, it doesn't matter whether it's whole wheat or whatever, just get rid of those, okay? You want to get rid of casein, which is dairy proteins. They're things that can leak into the intestine. Remember we talked about that leaky gut? They can leak into the blood system and it's not so good. Eggs and soy are also one, so you're going to get rid of those. And there's some testing you can do. We use Cyrex labs to actually help us do that. When you're doing an evaluation, there's two philosophies. One, you can find an imbalance and actually try to fix it. But our philosophy is the second approach. What we try to do is when we see an imbalance, we want to try to repair the entire system from what goes through your mouth all the way to what comes out. So we want to look at each and every one of the systems, and that's what the Feel Great Nate system does. It looks at each and every one of these because when one thing goes wrong, it's going to trigger something else along that digestive system to go wrong. So we want to make if your stomach doesn't produce enough hydrochloric acid, guess what? It's going to mess up your intestines. So we want to make sure that all of these systems are working right. So that's why the Feel Great Nate system is an 6 to 8 month program to guide you through, have somebody hold your hand all the way through that.
It used to be 8 weeks, now it's up to 8 months.
Well, what it is the advanced program. If you're suffering from any of these conditions, we have a workshop this Thursday. And it's important. I really, really hope that you attend it. I don't care if you have a thyroid problem, an IBS, irritable bowel, GI types of problems, if you have hormone problems, if you have a neurotransmitter, you have some brain dysfunction, you're foggy, you're forgetting things. Come to the workshop and you're going to see how all of these systems integrate. And I promise you, you walk out of there. I could care less if you sign up, but I want this message to get out there. I want people to get, so you have to call our office at 886-8585, reserve your seat. It starts at 7 o'clock, but you have to reserve your seat because we have a questionnaire and a couple things that you can fill out.
Right.
That's an interactive portion of this workshop. So you're going to know at this workshop exactly where you stand. How healthy am I? You're going to have a questionnaire right in front of you that's going to give you the answers. Powerful, powerful tool. Powerful. So I'm just telling you, if you're interested in this, we're going to be doing it this Thursday from 7 to 8 o'clock. You have to call ahead. And we're also going to be doing it August 9th. Again, from 7 o'clock. So it's going to be this Thursday and then 2 Thursdays from now.
All right, and that's Dr. Bob Olivieri. The office is on Route 47 in Rio Grande. The number is
886-8585.
And the website is 9hiddenweightlossecrets.com. That's what we're talking about during this promotional, this 9-week series of hidden secrets why you can't lose weight.
Right, great.
All right, Dr. Bob, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Phil.
It is 98.7 The Coast. We got news, weather, and sports.